Do you notice anything? You see? See? Guitar. Gone. Where is it? Where's my guitar? Well, I'll tell you, my intern, Carter, has it. Why does he have my guitar? I don't know. Well, yes, I do. He is my intern, like I said, and he has been learning acoustic guitar for about a year, maybe a year and a half now. I don't remember. Carter let me know. And I have challenged him to start playing electric. That's right. And so I thought this video would be helpful for him. And if it's helpful for him, it might be helpful for other people as well. See, Carter has been learning guitar, acoustic guitar, learning the fretboard, and doing a really good job. And a lot of worship leaders are there. They play acoustic guitar and that's all you need. I'm not really here to talk you into playing electric, but you should try to play electric. It'll make you a little bit more well-rounded. It may open up an acoustic spot for those who are just waiting to play acoustic on your team. It might even give you like a little bit more credibility because you know more and more about gear, which will help you talk to your other electric guitar players. And it's another way to level up as a worship leader. So there, that's all I'm gonna say about why you should do it. But maybe you've already been interested in switching from acoustic to electric, but you need a little nudge. You need some tips. That's what this video is for. There's two sections to this video. I'm either gonna break it up into two videos, which I don't know as I'm saying this, or it'll just be a longer video and I'll just keep it all in one. We will find out. The two sections are tone and technique, because with electric guitar, there are a lot of different tones. That's the one main difference between an electric and acoustic. It's acoustic, you pretty much just set up one sound, you have your sound. But electric, it can sound like a bunch of different things. So we're gonna talk about the tones that you can get for worship music. Not every single tone, but some of the most important. And I'm going to rank them in order of importance, not necessarily signal chain. And then the second part, we're going to talk about technique, because you don't play these two guitars the same way either. So let's dive in. All right, now we're about to talk about the whole signal chain from your guitar all the way till people hear it. But before we get into that, I do want to say this video is sponsored by the Sunday Ready Pack. What is that, Jimmy? Well, they are Line 6 device presets that are designed to just get you up and running and playing electric guitar like right now without having to do everything yourself. Today's video is going to get you a bit of an understanding. Like Carter right now has my HX Stomp XL. I had like 30 minutes to an hour with him the other day, and I was just giving him a quick rundown of, hey, click this button for this, click this button for this, here you go, here you go. And he was already getting good tones, and he took my stuff home with him, so I know it's gonna be super easy for him. So I want that for you. Presets that are already set up, all you gotta do is, they're dialed in already. All you gotta do is like click things on and off and get the tone you want for each section of the song. So check that out, linked down below. If you are a Line 6 pedal owner, HX Stomp XL, like he has, Helix, all of them, Pod Go, everything. Even for the little Pod Express, I have presets for those too. So check those out. Now, let's talk about signal flow. Like I said, we're not gonna really be concerned about pedal chain order. I mean, I can give you a chart maybe on the screen, but I'm gonna tell you effects and the importance of what I feel like is the most important, like things you should buy. If you are going to buy pedals, like individual pedals, what are the order of the most important things that I wish I had when I was getting started and I had to buy one pedal at a time? Let's get into it. I'm gonna also let you hear it through the Pod Go, so you'll be able to hear these sounds as we build them. All right, so number one, you need to pick out a guitar and you need an amp. Now, why am I putting those together? Well, unlike an acoustic guitar, you don't need an amp. You can just play it. If you play acoustic, you know it has a big body, it got a hole in it, it resonates. This, without an amp, it's just string noise. It needs something to amplify it. String noise goes through these little pickups, out the hole, into the amplifier. It's a little more complex than that, but basically, and then you get sound. So we need to pick an amplifier first. I'm using the Pod Go here. This is Pod Go Edit. If you're not into modeling, that's okay. I'm just using this as a reference. This is kind of fake modeling of real world things. So this is the modeling of a US Super Reverb. Also, I'm using an impulse response, one of my own from the Sunday Ready Pack. And it sounds like this. This is an amp. This is a guitar with an amplifier. I mean, it sounds beautiful, right? Again, if I were to turn the amp off and the cab off, you would just be getting something that may almost sound like an acoustic guitar. Because it's just strings and a guitar. That's through the recording. If you were in the room, it would sound way more dead because it's doesn't have a body on it like an acoustic guitar. But we'll turn these two things on. Now we have our amp and cab. That's the first thing. Now, if I were to buy a pedal, what pedal would I get next? For me, I would say a delay pedal. Now, what does a delay pedal do? Well, it takes your tone and not just delay it in time, but it takes it and repeats it. So I'm just gonna pick a simple delay here. I'm gonna use a quarter note sync at 120 BPM. Bop, 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 bop. That's 120 BPM. So that's pretty cool. It adds depth to your sound. Now, why would this be the first thing I would get? Well, a lot of worship music is characterized by the big ambient sounds that you get from all the effects we're going to talk about today. But without delay, you can't make a lot of the sounds it takes to play the parts that are in these songs. You can mess with the effects and get some super ambient sounds with just this one effect. Now, some of you might be surprised that I didn't say overdrive first. I'm gonna click this off. What does overdrive do? Well, would be my next one. I would get delay first and then overdrive, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Let's go over here and pick out a distortion. I'm gonna pick out overdrive. I'm gonna turn it off and I'll turn it on and show you the difference. It adds that crunch that you might be familiar with like rock music. And different overdrives and with different settings can get more gainy sounding. All right, so you hear the difference between overdrive and clean tone. Now, the reason I would get delay first is because you can crank your amp and get drive out of your amp and then use your guitar to get different sounds. I did this for years. So let's boost up the drive on this amp right here. I'm gonna bring the volume down a little bit. Let's just dial this amp in the way I typically do. Now this should be more overdriven. I don't have the overdrive on right now. This is just the amp. I'm gonna back off the bass some more here. And what's cool about your guitar is that because you have a volume knob on it, you can adjust the volume, which adjusts how much signal is hitting your amp, which can clean it up. So what a lot of people do is they use their volume knob right here. Full volume is gonna make it sound dirty like we just had it, but if you back it off a bit, you can get really clean. So just with my guitar, I have made a couple different tones. Also, we have pickups. This guitar has like 3 pickups, so it has a kind of complex configuration here. But let's just focus on this knob right here. Up is the neck pickup, all the way down is the bridge pickup, and in the middle, it blends these two. This one right here, you can ignore that. That's this switch down here. So let me let you hear the difference between those. The neck is gonna be warmer and smoother. The bridge is gonna have more bite. And when you put it in the middle, it splits the two. Now with all those tools, you can get a lot of different sounds. So I'm gonna turn on my delay and just play some stuff and let you hear the different tones that I can get out of this. didn't even use my overdrive yet. Okay, let me put the amp back to about where it was, clean it up a little bit. Now, after we have our guitar, our amp, our delay, and our overdrive, the next thing I would get on the list is reverb. Now, what does reverb do? Well, reverb gives us space. So where delay gives you stereo left and right, even though reverb is a stereo effect, it gives us space and dimension front and back, nearness and far away. So when you have a super ambient sound, it makes you feel like you're in a big hall or cathedral or chamber. You can see the names of some of these. I'm just gonna pick this one here. Let's see what it sounds like. This is the only effect on. Makes it sound like if you were like snapping inside of a cave or something. It gives us the perception of space. Without it, just dry. But with it, now we have some space. All right, I'm gonna bring up some settings that I typically like. Now you might be thinking, Jimmy, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, and I would agree with you. Why wouldn't you put that first? You could get that first, but this is the order of importance if you are really trying to fit in a band, because as much as reverb sounds good by itself, and it sounds good live, I'm not saying it doesn't, sometimes it can be buried in the mix, and it helps glue things together. This is why it's on the list, but I would choose delay first for nailing those parts. But when you put them together, now let me play without the wet effects on, which is our delay and reverb. With wet effects. It sounds really good, but there is one thing missing, and it's next on the list, which is compression. Now, what does compression do? Well, it's a dynamic effect. Kinky comp. I'm gonna put on a noise gate. You may also need a noise gate, especially if you're running drive. I have my drive on. This is what a noise gate is. Didn't make the list because it's built into modelers. But if you have a noisy rig, like if you add an amp and have some pedals and it's noisy, you might also want a noise gate. And it just takes the signal below the threshold and makes it quiet. And the higher gain stuff, higher gain, more drive, more gain, tends to get more noisy. A compressor, this was a perfect illustration of what a compressor does. It takes your high signal and compresses it, brings it down. Your loud notes brings them down, and your soft notes and brings them up. And since we had a little bit of a ring there, we had some signal coming through, this gate will close that off, but it's bringing that. It was soft without the compressor, and the compressor brought that soft sound up, but also keeps our peaks down. I'm gonna set the compressor about how I like it. And let's see if we can hear the difference. Might heard a little volume difference. They say compression is one of those things you can't really hear, you feel it, and that's true because what it's doing is it's not really changing the sound, but it's changing how it interacts. An extreme compressor will almost duck your signal, but it's also squishing it out. And when you take something and you squish it, it's gonna come out the side. So that's how I like to think of sustain or sensitivity. There's something called sustain where the note lasts longer. That's what compression does. I love compression. When you get used to some subtle compression and you don't have it, those lead lines that I was just playing, I could tell I didn't have compression on because the note wasn't lasting as long. You hear when I turn it on, it's bringing it up. I can bring up the sensitivity even more. And that sustain would be even more, but I'm gonna bring it down. I don't need it that strong. Now, when I add that to my wet effects and I play my lead line, it's just gonna be great. Now, the only other thing is modulation, and I have to switch it out for this overdrive right here. Modulation is what I would get last, but it still can be super helpful. So what it does is it just takes your tone and messes with it. You usually have your choruses or flanger, phasers, tremolos. What it does is it's basically taking your signal and moving it up and down, splitting it into various shapes. So let me just get one here. I usually like a chorus. It can really thicken up those lead lines that we were playing earlier. Here's a tremolo, which kind of takes your notes and spreads them. That right there, all those effects and my guitar and my pickups, I can make enough sounds to play pretty much any part that you would need. Now there are a couple extra tools I like using, which are like clean boost to stand out in the mix. So like if this is as loud as I get on my rhythm, which is pretty loud in the room, by the way. Sometimes I set a foot switch to, and this is not a modeler tutorial, but to toggle up and down like 2 or 3 BPM. This is my tone right now. And then it just got louder. Just helps you stand out in the mix. Another thing you can do if you have time is add some pitch modulation. Another thing you can do is add a second always on reverb and have a big reverb. And we're gonna talk more about this when we talk about technique. And the last thing I like to do is have like a dual delay. So right here you can have like 2 different types of delay going on at the same time. And if you're wearing headphones, you can hear them bouncing back and forth. Again, if you are interested in tones that are ready for Sunday, check out the Sunday Ready Pack. It's made just for you for that reason. I even have not only electric presets, but acoustic presets, bass presets, and then for electric, I also just came out with a super ambient pack. So go check those out. Click the link down below. This is where I'm going to end this video, so be on the lookout for the next video where I talk about as you transition from acoustic to electric, what kind of technique you need to pay attention to. Once I record it, I will link it down below this video as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.